Welcome to Clear the Clutter. My name is Margaret, and this podcast is where I give you practical and spiritual advice to get your time back so you can finally spend it how you really want. Hello, welcome. So today's episode 40, what to do when you've out. So just like always, journal prompts of the episode. It's going to be a mix of woo and of business, of money, all of it designed to grow that. And yes, there will be plant. Apparently, I cannot shut up about being a hobby farmer, part-time farmer, whatever you want to call a person that plays with plants and has to take care of all of the in with them. Of course, the aha moment. So you'll get all of that in this episode. And if you're listening to it in real time, it's December, the end of the year is coming. So all of these end of the year have been stirring up inside of me. So just like I'm looking back at my year, obviously going on, and I'm looking back at my year and I'm like, what did I accomplish? I hit my goals, did I not hit my goals? Why did I not hit my goals? What's good, what's bad? Where did I not ask for enough? I'm looking at all of stuff and I'm evaluating. And that's part of what delayed today's episode. I could have recorded it about 2 days ago. No, it just still doesn't. I still haven't latched onto the thread of what I want to talk about in this episode. Not down having the aha moment, because I had reached out probably about, maybe about a week and a half prior to that to a couple of girls that I had over 5 years. We met through Earth, and we have a Facebook chat, an Instagram chat, and I was having a super shitty day, and I reached out to them, which normally, and I had told them I felt something out, but I reached out to them. I was like, hey, I'm having a bad day, X, Y, and Z problems going on, and this is the second year now that the same exact problem is happening. I am not in it to shift my vibe. Help. And being the baby of the group, sometimes I hesitate reaching out support just because I'm like, well, all of them have children, all of them have lives, just my problem feel that sick. But I reached out and instead of doing the episode, I was talking, and it was the best. I think we're all on something. We're all over US and Japan, so when we talk, we kind of don't know how to shut up. It's perfect, love but I kept going back. Here's my problem. I know I should be able to figure out the solution. Really good to feel like X should be the solution. What is on? Why figure out how to shift out of this? Why can't I let it go? Why can't I move on? Why? And of course, that was tying into, this overarching picture of, I know conceptually what needs to be, and I'm not even talking about work and the issue that I had, why I reached out, but I'm talking in general, overarching. I know what the goal is. Goal is that it is X, Y, and I know the logical steps to why am I not taking the act? What is it? Is it a belief? Is it lack of resource? Lack of clarity? Lack of, physical time? What is stopping from this to the end? What? And one of the things that was the container I had put myself in. Part of it that, I keep expecting, or I'll keep expecting things to fall in a very, so A and I do B, do C, of course I have to. Now, there is influence, so A, B, and C will always, but not necessarily, maybe, a D minus. I don't even know how to analogy, but basically, just because you do all the results doesn't necessarily the action. And, the answer to that of, oh my God, well, I'm doing all this work and I'm not going to get the action. Part of the response, well, you're not following this, you're not doing it, makes you happy. So when it comes to the palm, you're not focusing on what makes you happy. Instead, you're overwhelmed by it. So of course, you're passionate. When you're at work, you're not focusing and see this one insignificant thing. And of course, because you're focusing on the insignificant thing and not the picture, of course you're going to have your moments, but that doesn't, it shouldn't take your overarching feel, it shouldn't overarching vibe, it shouldn't decision and your goal, your dire dreams and say the problem then to only. And I know a lot of this that I'm just talking on super weird, right? One of the other things too is I talked on talked about verses. Ben and I had gone on, and obviously there was time wire. So especially being in the ocean, I can't sleep. It's just and then of course I can't sleep. I can't sneak off, go journal or go snuggle a fur baby, do that. So I didn't have distract. So when Ben had fallen asleep, clearly I'm not. I grabbed my tablet and I ended up creating 4 module partial sales page and everything course. And I'm like, oh my God, it was amazing to go ahead and talk about this course, launch this course. Deep desire. It's been in the background quite a while. I never felt fleshed out and latch on, felt solid. It felt slippy. It's not right. And so I finally fleshed out ideas and this and that. And I'm like, when I get home, fuck this, no go. I'm going to figure out how to create this, get it out, keep my muse happy. And I'm just going to move on. And then we come home and then up busy, do all this stuff. And the course is still here. I go, so as I'm focusing on driving, so I can have this course that's burning inside of me. I do. Part of it, they kept saying, and I was like, and here's a tangent reason why I have not created the probably 6 courses. I have pretty much all the modules done, it all written out, the journal prompts there, portions of the sales page done. I just have to finish it and then put it on the website. And obviously the content, basically the structure, the outline, each one course is there. And talking, were able to kind of give me an aha moment. The reason why all of these courses that I had won this time last year, the value, okay, what do I want to achieve? The reason why I haven't achieved, because I had this thought process mentality that, for example, courses, if I don't have then it doesn't count as, it's not valuable, it's not and they're like, Margaret, you're being retarded. So you have a following on a podcast, you've got 18,000 listens, you've got 40 something plus episodes, you've got content people consume. Of course your audience is going to be happy with an audio. Make sure you value. If you say you're going to do X, then do X, Y, and content for you. It's okay. You have to and then I started thinking about that. Okay, well, if I look at that and I look at her meaning, it came down to, at least it came down, Tanner, I had put myself in out. I've had this conversation with separate but I've had this conversation. There are times where I am scared because we grow so fast, we think so fast, that sometimes I feel like I catch and reconcile all the things we pushed ahead, and I can now be a person always focusing, becoming a woman. What does she look like? This picture, I've talked to you guys about this, so it's not like I've always focused on this such a big picture that there seems to be bumps of I kind of have to pause, catch my breath, reconcile all the good and the bad gone on, and then realize like, hey, I've grown. I'm not this was shit. I'm not even the same person I was. There's so many have shed journal prompts, just dumps that I have done, old mindsets out of my system, that it's okay to outgrow this, to outgrow the 21 version of Maggie. So the person that Margie won is not going to person who she is. That is okay. And a lot of it to recognize the reason why I contain, to me, it's a reason why I came back to, this is a time, especially at the end of Christmas that's coming, Three-Wise came right after. We've got all these holidays, all this distraction and busy, and it's so easy to it's so, oh my God, I got to buy presents. Oh my God, I got to do this. Oh my God, work. Oh my God, on vacation time. It's so busy, distracted, and that somewhat as an excuse so that you can go ahead by the new year rolls around. You're like, oh shit, the new year's here. Obviously it's Eve party, but then you're like, God, all these things, desire, some of it, I haven't accomplished everything. What's going on? Why is that I'm not where, and if you are where you want to, I've had the experience that you're like, shit, I didn't big, oh my God, I could have asked, I was reading Neville Side, reading Instagram, and there was Katrina, one of the people I follow on Instagram, I don't follow it, she had this really great post, and it was in regards to, what if you had asked, and I was like, what the heck is this? Because normally she posts stuff that, kind of opens your eyes, you're like, oh, this is really cool, blah, 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 oh, I like that prompt, I like that. Majority of it, I'll actually stop what I'm doing. I'll run to my computer and I'll write down a journal prompt or a quote of things that she's done. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I saw, basically, you don't think of it until of course. But basically, the Cliff Notes version, one of the things that she owned, which is one of her mentors, and is that his biggest regret was not asking. That is, if I am energetic match, because I've used this before. If I'm an energetic match in the area, it's logic hard that I should match somewhere else. So let's use a practice. If and I'm totally going to make this is not really, I want you to get, if I am unavailable to have someone personal life like shit, there is no realist. I am so unavailable, it's not even fathomable, but I will let anyone else in any other part of my life treat like shit. So same thing with money. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a boneheaded basic thought, but I never had this thought process. And again, it was back into growing into these thoughts or thoughts that I've had in 20 today. Again, evolve of all of this. So when she had said that, and it wasn't in regards to money, but technically, basically, I should have just begun, because if I had, I gotten a lot sooner, a lot more grace. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so smart. Totally duh. So if I'm willing, energetic match, and I work to show up, think the thoughts, create things, sell them. If I'm with all of at this certain dollar at my day job, it is literally in my head logic. It's now my new logical that I cannot anywhere else. Now, I say that going from at one point in time, we had a business when I combined, which some people insane, some true. For us, it was a big job, the passion, a moment of love and the bad and the super strong and the crying because it was just fun. But, I went from that existence to the existence now, and it's literally, we have thousands of dollars, we have we have 9 farm, we have all of these things that I had always would have. And I'm like, well, damn, again, same concept. Had I had thought about asking again, who's to say that I can have for not just in the house that I totally sacrifice on that, but what if I had said, I'm not willing to also not be able to have the really sweet. Now we're back. We're asking to be told by the universe, you're not being great, you're not deserving, you need to be happy you are. And I don't necessarily like that, because again, when I look at these ideas, it's so the TV show that's past color. And one of the characters, one of the characters, she has this fear mom in the TV show. She goes into her mind, drags out the fear, and okay, that's a little whatever. It's the same concept. You don't, how are you conquer? So when I'm having these thoughts, I can't make money. Someone else, it's literally physically not made my back. Make sure that so that part is logic exists for me. And it's the same concept to gratitude. A lot of what I've this year, big issue, but a big thing, let's call it, because I don't want a big thing and bump this year. Well, I have so much gratitude, and times I'll cry because I'm so incredible. Go to the store, obviously, but still in my head I'm basically, but I can go to the store and go and buy a massage from the farms, and but like I can buy that, and then I go, we can pay for groceries, like super. Again, do this. We've got access to resource health. Maybe it's not necessarily one. It's both health or both these free, all of that stuff. So there's so many. My fur babies are okay. I got a rattlesnake and a $1,300 bill, and while it sucked, I didn't even bat an eye. Had the baby, so and he's fine. Holly, she's 6, but still, my mastiffs are healthy. Cat East on the prop. I have so many blessed, and I'm so overwhelmed, gratitude, crying because I didn't. While I want to happen, and so a lot of it. Reason why I haven't thought of creating audio course instead of why I've held back this year is because I'm so resources. It's greedy to ask for, and I'm really focusing on shift that it's okay to ask, not greedy, and more next year can start sending the local food bank and shelter, send my girls, because we have that more is safe. I'm not necessarily, but so instead of throttle again, that bringing it back, ramble of the episode, the care had been challenged, and every time I felt like instead of just saying, hey, in farmer world, like, hey, up pot, Mitch, put me in, a bigger pot, or, shoot, instead of even pot, just put grounds want. So instead of set, and that meant I was like, oh no, I'm reaching a pot, let me curl back. Oh no, I'm reaching, let me curl, not reach out, let self-sabotage in X, Y, way, because I was out this hunt. So I bet you, like each of you, all whoever men listen, current, whether it's 5, you bet you that if you listen to this, then there is some area in relationship, friendship, is something, X, Y, and bet you that I consider, and it isn't, right? Maybe you've got a motion spouse, partner, whoever, you got to raise her somewhere, and you might be yes, I can afford, or yes, I can spend, or yes, I can, now we have more money, but it all has to savings, because only smart and it all, whatever, right? Whatever the edge, and into go from full on expansion, full on rip throttle to own bump belief system that I've gotten point. Now they don't know how to help you grow next. This is why I always said, what I don't know, I pay teach me. And I used to use it in the mindset, the accountants and the accountant in the past, and how it was such a goal to how I could grow, and talked about buying other courses, grab something, how to consistency. It just didn't feel like, so I was so college. Obviously, part of why I went to college, there's other, I want to go some, this is X, Y, and this is a topic, this was a study, totally willing to teach me. It's a basic, so my new level thought process, belief system, constant, and instead of, I bet you $1, instead of, well, let's go to the farm. I have a palm. The palm tree starts out as a seed, nothing the seed, 2 small little, it goes into a 1 gallon little pot that you see most of it, or it goes into this little pot, it starts to sprout out roots, and then it starts to sprout out the stem, palm tree, a rose bush, or a flower, food, roots come, and then the stem. Then after a certain time, that root system is going to be too big for the pot. It's this thing called, same thing happens in the spirit, just not, when put yourself in too small you to grow, you have, now, some plants, but some grow a circle, because there is no word, so what they do is they start growing in a circle. It's crazy. Actually, pot, it looks like a freaking racetrack. It's just a root system, nowhere else to go. I didn't realize, which some do, that hey, instead of growing in a circle, fuck this noise, I'm gonna bust out a pot. So you'll have certain palm, whatever, that will go and grow in a circle. The same issues and structures that they can't grow. Can't say, hey, I'd love that belief system. Or you have the other one that they're like, this pot is too small for me to bust plastic and grow unrestricted area. And I've got that I have a 50, half of them are about, the other half of them are growing, busting the pots, the bottom, the holes, they're trying to grow up out of the pot from top. So it's crazy how there's 2 different things going on. It correlates, I love this, calling farmer that can turn it so it can help you make sense. If you feel the same and you're like, this shit is like super shit, then you might be, root, instead of having a busting pot, because that would be an option you would assume, right? Like, oh, I have to bust the pot, bust through the pot. pot. No. Third option would be that you cry out to your farm belief system. You're like, screw this noise. I don't need pot to with. I want to go and sit out in the field. And I want to have more than enough space to grow big as I want. So instead of this itty bitty your availability for, instead of having, I want to have limitless possibility options. I want to become a 12-foot palm. I can go ahead and 12-foot palm, and I don't have to worry about continuously pots over. Does that make sense? I know I went a little crazy and super deep in regards to the woo, but I wanted you to have a visual of there's not only two options. So instead of what I was thinking, I just need to growing out of this talking Instagram. I've got all these seeds. They're showing me instead of just go a bigger container. Sometimes you two, sometimes a little bit stability. So instead of 1 gallon tiny pot, you start out sometime, and I've seen but we're gonna have to some of these pots out pot. I'm gonna have to 5 or a 10 gallon. Logic that does not make sense. Logic I should make that pump from a 1 gallon to a 10 gallon. The logic again rule if you want to lose sense. Rule should you have not quantum. Not explosive, that does not logic sense, but it happens. Nature all that's not aware of it. So instead of taking some palms that are clearly growing out of pot, these things almost as tall as a tiny root system, a bust pot, tipping over, and my god, I have them all standing back up again and pop. I'm going to take these that are 1 gallon pot and I'm going to put them in a 10 gallon pot. I'm going to safe that's drastically bigger than right now, but the root system is so established, aka leaf system is so there, it's so ready, it's so willing, it's here to show up and do the work. Put them in a 10 gallon pot. It's having a drastically bigger pot than what they should be, so that boom, the tree, and it can grow into this space. And then if they're in the 10 gallon, take them after that. I'm going to take them and we're going to put them straight ground. Again, if you think about this from the logic, that should not exist. Just like people, let's use plants. Let's use same shit, right? Logic, you should get out of school. You should make a shitty wage. You should most likely go to college. And then there you're going to get a job where it's a little bit less shitty ever and over again, 40s or 50s. And so you make good money. Or at least you've been in the industry 15, paid, quote unquote paid. You've done all these things. AKA you've got 1 gallon of 3, got 5, of 7. That you have to. I don't, but as nature is physics and so many things possible to ignore. That is not true with the proper nutrients or water. I can take up 1 gallon to a 10 gallon, maybe not even 2, but instead of going to 7, instead of going, shitty base pay to a little bit better, a little bit better, 13 years now making somewhat decent. That is not required. That is happening. Again, nature just so. If that's for out, I would ask, first off, do you even need to be in it? Are you ready to go from pot to straight potential? And if not for that, go into a drastic, go from that 1 pot. Now, mind you, don't size looks like. I whole Instagram, but humor me and Google what a 1 gallon tank looks like. The spatial drastic, and talk of going from either going straight into the ground or into a bigger pot, the things that help you get there so much faster is going to world is water. So in reality, woo world, water is going to be for journal prompts, just kind of health and nutrient, what I would courses. And I don't care if it's a cast talking about all the woo and farmer life, but where you say I'm showing ready, that is going to be your. So if you want to go, like right now, I am mentally preparing. I'm getting rid of all those stupid beliefs, and instead of saying, well, maybe right now I'm in about a 7, I should be in about the next logical step. Well, fuck this. I don't want to be in a pot anymore. I want to go straight to the ground. I want genuine, and that potential time that having easier, loving relationship with my husband. I want more resources available. I just want where I'm going to go straight because I may have not necessarily gone 1 gallon to 7 pot system. I may not have done that. Now I'm realizing instead of honestly buying myself and holding myself in back, why don't I just safe to have this possible thing, the safe evolve and not fix on, than to say the next growth has to be this little. This next growth has to be this little. I can only grow in it has to be logical. It has to make sense. It has to A plus C has to. No, nature, again, I've said it, nature literally proved otherwise. So if nature can, why can't I? If my friends can, why? If I am open, ready, and willing to see, then why can't I grant myself, again, either the universe and every talking, wake up, why can't I grant myself limit? And some course that's gonna be scary, but be scared is if I've got course, I've got books that I have audiobooks that I have so many resources at every time I feel little instead of being stuck for okay, if I am about let me find the resource, the same concept. If I don't know, I pay someone to teach, same shit, right? So if I feel afraid, what resources am I gonna reach out to? Now obviously I'll figure out how to launch, but that is vibe. So instead of having this notion, let's do a vision, I thought of it, fund a vision board part of that. I think that's too small. And I was like, damn, damn, if that's thinking small, what the hell? How am I guide the last couple weeks of how am I going to help guide you to just up one? How do I guide resource? Well, let's start necessarily have to start an option. Wake quantum happily every to teach you how to quantum every done resource, all my beliefs, all my journal prompts. I'm working VA journal prompts, quotes, easy access to this, whether course, Pinterest, Facebook, or wherever. I am doing every to not just show you a straight path and put pretty gravel down and have solar lights so it matters. So if you think about it, I don't want you stumbling alone in the I'm no longer available small can stumble dark and suffer the little strength. I'm no longer to literally not instead and this is tracing life. I am going to not only use I'm going to have Ben pave so that you're walking badass gravel, put down solar lights so it's dark and it's scary. You don't have to get lost, stumble off, but I will want access to everything I have inside. In that I'm showing ready, willing, don't have to have. Again, I will show more training for me, a super very, very private. It's saying a lot, recorded, publishes because at one time I exposed and I was myself, and now it just feels this is the way to show whoever you are path, but 3 steps behind, 2 steps, 5 steps, 10 steps behind. I want you away, and I want you to hear taken so that you recognize not honest. You may drastic people, but I'm not saying just X, Y, and Z form. You're gonna be overnight work, but the work doesn't necessarily hard. It's gonna. And the other part of it is I'll read it to you. I don't have the title. I'm still messing around, but that course that I was about writing, and I was looking at as fuck. This is I'm on vacation. The full moon shouldn't matter. I should have fallen asleep, but this is what I wrote for like the sales page that's coming soon. So I wrote. For the woman who is tired of putting her life desires on, she is tired of waiting to go on vacation. She's tired of not being able to fertility treatments. She's tired of having to choose to take her family herself. And again, this is the messy being fully transparent. Once you make that first $1,000, the rest of it is just scale. It's undeniable proof that you can take care of yourself tied to a day job. Your day jobs serves unfortunately, no one ever told you that starting a side hustle and yourself, that it was about going to school. It was only about going to school. But what they didn't tell you is that the job, while it has massive benefits, isn't the woman that works hard and raised her more than once a year, a woman who literally changed her life path, or it's childcare, let alone the fear that comes with keep you having maternity nation. Or better yet, real life changes. Yes, that means having more than 7 PTO and sick com. It means a soul. So this course came through me, oh my God, I have to do it. So over the next couple weeks, I'm recording all the journal, record the audio episodes, this full on amazing, awesome audio own course, a video, because you're busy. I want you to not use this as an excuse to not go ahead. This is I will sign the show notes link and sign up newsletter already. I will do my very best to make sure that every podcast, once the sales page is live, the Instagram, Facebook, that it's in the Facebook group, that it's in the newsletter, obviously the website. So I will do my best to make sure this is some interest. But I want you next couple weeks, instead of being busy and overwhelmed, instead of just kind of collapsing into the fog, holiday, use this time to be intentional. Use this time. What is my limitless? What is my, growing out of me going straight into the ground like a palm tree? Think about obviously it's out. So journal prompt number 1 is what area are you feeling naturally frustrated? And I mean truly unnaturally frustrated. You're going from 0 to 100 thing. Whatever that area is, write it as that is an area we're buying. So journal prompt is what for actions are you used to letting slide that are like nails on a chalk now, that they're overwhelming, they're drive you up a freaking wall and hell no, I this and what are those things? Is it someone does something, hold you back? Is it whatever it is, write it down. You can see it. Journal prompt number 3. What goals or desires have years? I want you to not just, but also want you to get used to the idea. Care what job I don't care if you have it. I want you to start on a soul level, energetic, all the level, every level. I want you to get that is big. Journal prompt number 4. What are you being unavailable? So if you're growing, normally that means all the areas that you're getting frustrated, all the things that used to kind of drive you, if you haven't fixed it, then that is so. Instead of being stuck on growing area, why don't you be unavailable? I am no longer treated like shit customer. I'm no longer available not to have explanation. I'm no longer available not to income every year. Whatever it is, I want you to take this fear into your, and then finally is what you contain into. Is it your time? Is it your friends, connections, your space and busy? And you are at the status and start flushing. You go and sit and you do your vision, next goals, ideas, mindset, mantra, whatever you call it. You have a true North Star that can go ahead and drastic. It's not going to say a percent. You can look at that big road to get all the show page. So if you want them, just click on the show. You'll see them there. You see your phone. You want over the weeks. course, create it, and I'll get back in the show. If the newsletter fell capacity, make sure it's on this audio. I am getting into it. I'm crazy and epic and journal audio podcast. If you think I'm a podcast, with that being said, whatever you find to hide care, do whatever to grow and become limitless. Have a burning question for me? Want that link I was talking about? Get access to all the resources and links that were mentioned in this episode and others over at margaretstevens.co. And if you haven't, don't forget to sign up for my VIP list where I share special bonuses, pre-launch coupon codes, and advice I don't share anywhere else. Thanks for listening.